Hello, welcome back to the channel, everyone. Well, you're probably going to get sick of me this week because, as I said in my last video just yesterday, that I have officially started my vacation, so I'm in a great mood. And I thought, what a better way to start vacation than to make a video. And I'm going to do it on one of my very favorite artists of all time, and that is the wonderful Coldplay. And I know what you're thinking by now. You're probably saying, oh, I don't like Coldplay, they're overrated, and blah, blah, blah. Well, too bad. If you're not a Coldplay fan, you're probably not watching anyway. And for those fans of Coldplay, I hope you enjoy the video because I have a lot to show you. I've been a fan from the very, very beginning. And I mean that not, from even the debut album, from before the first time I ever heard the first single. So that goes all the way back to 1999. I fell in love with Coldplay, and I've always been a big fan, and I hope that I always am a big fan. It is kind of like a U2 in a way. It seems like people either love them or hate them. Kind of similar to what I said about U2. It seems that for some reason there seems to be this bad sentiment when it comes to bands who have success. And I don't know what causes it. But anyway, I am a big Coldplay fan, and I can't wait to show you all of the different items that I've collected through the years. And it's been a lot of fun, and I hope it continues. I'm going to get right to it. As I said, I've been a fan from the very beginning, and I suppose the first thing I'll show you is the very first EP that they ever did. This is called Brothers and Sisters. This is really just a single. It's got 3 tracks on it: Brothers and Sisters, Easy to Please, and Only Superstition. This is on Fierce Panda. Now this is the 2002 reissue. There was only, I think, originally 500 copies of this on vinyl. And, I wasn't a vinyl collector at the time back in 1999, so I just listened to them on the radio and fell in love with the band and was happy that I could get a 2002 copy of this from Fierce Panda and Brash Records. So while this is a reissue, it is already 13, 14 years old, so nice to have that. And I think it's still available. I'm not 100% sure of that. I've got so much on my desk, I'm going to have to come up with new spots to put stuff. From there, they did get signed to Parlophone, EMI, Capitol Records in America, and came up with their first EP on Parlophone, and that is called The Blue Room. This is an original copy on CD of The Blue Room. This EP had 5 tracks: Bigger, Stronger, Don't Panic, See You Soon, High Speed, and Such a Rush. If you're a faithful watcher of my videos, you probably recall I did a video about vinyl grails, and I listed this EP, this 12-inch EP, as one of my biggest grails in my collection. And I do have an original 12-inch copy of The Blue Room on vinyl, which is extremely hard to find. It just does have a small flaw on it, and I do try to treat it real carefully, don't play it a lot, and try to keep it protected in this cardboard sleeve because it's pretty flimsy. They were numbered. Don't know the edition size of this one, but this was reissued in a box set that I'll show you a little later on 2 7-inch discs. But this is an original 12-inch of those 5 tracks, and I'm so happy. This is one of my prized possessions, and I would never part with it in a million years, so I'm just thrilled to have it. They obviously from there continued on with Parlophone, still signed to them today. And their first album is, in a way, their most beloved album. This is an original copy, early pressing of Parachutes. This is a Parlophone copy, UK Parlophone copy there, as you can see. This was released on Capitol in the US, and I think it's been reissued as part of their 50th anniversary series as well. But in many ways, this is their best album. This is what put them on the map, and they had quite a few successful singles from this highly successful album. And I'm going to go through each of the singles, and I thought the best way for me to do that is to go show you what I've got, and I'll try to keep them in order. Here's a CD copy of Parachutes. Nothing too great about that, really, but I do have a lot of the original CD singles. This is the first single released from Parachutes. This one is hard to find on CD single. CD singles, they don't really exist anymore, but they were so fun to collect back in the day. In the better part of 2000 to say 2010, they kind of stopped doing them, because you always got cool B-sides and or extra tracks, non-album tracks, and I loved collecting them. This one had For You and Careful Where You Stand as extra tracks, and this goes for a little bit of money. From there, they released probably maybe their most well-known single, and that is Yellow. There's many different versions of this. I have this particular version. This is a British copy on CD single, and the extra tracks on this one, oh, I just can't read it. The lighting in this room is just terrible, but trust me, there's some extra songs on here that are good. From there, they released a song called Trouble. This is the CD single called Trouble. It does have another Brothers and Sisters copy if you didn't get that original EP. The Blue Room, it did have, or their first single, and then it also has a Shiver version from a radio show, Joe Whitley, in the UK, so that's nice to have that. Really, I don't remember where I got all these things, but this is a clear CD of Trouble. This one I think is pretty rare, and I'm going to show you the CD on this one because it's the only CD I have like it in my collection, and it is just exactly how it sounds, just a crystal clear CD, and it plays just like any other CD, but I've never seen another one like it. Maybe it's not as uncommon as I think, but it's a really neat little collectible from one of my favorite bands, so I'm just thrilled to have that. I'll just put that away later. Let's see, I've got a Norwegian EP. They're quite popular in that part of the world, and they toured there successfully right as a young band, and this is a Swedish copy of the Trouble EP. This has got Trouble, Shiver, Sparks, Yellow, and Everything's Not Lost, but they're all live versions from a tour that they did in Norway or Sweden or somewhere in that part of the world. Last single here from that album was called Don't Panic, one of my favorite songs off of Parachutes, and this is a British Parlophone copy of Don't Panic, and it's got You've Only Lived Twice, Live from Norway, Bigger, Stronger, Live from Norway. So as you can see, their early career, they were very popular in that part of the world. And then lastly, from the Parachutes era, I've got this. This is another EP. This has got Sparks, Careful Where You Stand, Yellow Acoustic, See You Soon, and Yellow Video. So this is just a little, I'm not sure what part of the world this came from, if I'm being honest, but it is on Parlophone. And, you know, it's just one of those strange little things that there were so many different versions and variations of singles at that time. So much fun to collect, and I wish, in a way, that CD singles were still a big part of the music scene, because I have enough Coldplay material to probably fill up 3 or 4 full-length albums from all the different singles that I've accumulated through the years, and it's just such a fun little thing. And we'll move on to their second album here, but as we go through, there won't be as many singles because, you know, they kind of phased them out. But as you all probably know, the next album is, in many ways, their most popular and the most successful, and that is A Rush of Blood to the Head. Interesting story about this copy. I actually bought it in Australia. I lived there for 2 years, if you guys don't know me well and didn't know that, but I was a big fan even way back then when this album came out in 2002, and this copy came from the land down under, so I'm so happy I kept it all these years, and it's my playing copy. It's my only vinyl copy of this album, and it's so wonderful. I don't need an upgrade or anything different. It sounds brilliant. So Coldplay's Rush of Blood to the Head had many, many, many singles on it. Their first single I do have on a 12-inch called In My Place. There may be 12 inches of their other singles too, but this is the only 12-inch I have from A Rush of Blood to the Head, and I love the design, the artwork that you'll see throughout these CD singles, and I've got a massive stack of them, so I do need to go pretty fast here. That was such a highly successful album. They released quite a few singles from that. Here's my CD copy of A Rush of Blood to the Head. You'll see the artwork, though. I don't know the name of the artist who designed all these variations of these designs from the album, but whoever it was did an amazing job. Just another copy of the CD that I kept sealed. This is interesting because I have this and I have one for their next album too. I'll show you. This is an interview CD, all spoken, just to interview the band. This is kind of before the days that the internet was so important. They released this to the public. This was something you could actually purchase, and it just talks about the album, the making of, and what it means, and all that kind of stuff. So, really cool and fun to listen to once in a while. I'll go through the singles in order, but I'm not going to spend a lot of time on them. Here's In My Place, the same as I just showed you on the 12-inch. That was the first single. From there is The Scientist, just a wonderful song. I'm probably going to put a link to the video on this one because I love the music video. And it's my understanding that Chris Martin, the singer of Coldplay, had to learn the words of the song backwards to make that video because, well, you'll see when you watch the video that it's kind of those reverse time sequence things where a lot of things happen but in reverse order, and he had to learn the words of the song backwards, which I can't imagine how hard that would be. This is a format that doesn't exist anymore. This was a DVD video single from the Scientist. So this had the music of the same single I just showed you, but it also included a DVD of the single. So it was just kind of a contrast. Instead of white and black, it was black and white, and it was just so cool. Again, I wish they did these kind of things still. And this had, again, a really cool cover song of Lips Like Sugar from Echo and the Bunnymen that was recorded in 2002, and more interview material. So this was really neat. Another copy of The Scientist. Here's a CD single of Clocks, probably their most popular single, maybe their biggest selling single of all time in their career. And again, more B-songs, B-sides, non-album tracks of that. Here's Coldplay Live. This came from God knows where. Has Clocks, Trouble, The Scientist, and Green Eyes, but they're all live versions, so that's really neat. Here is Clocks. This is, it's pretty well resealed. It's not officially sealed. I resealed it, but this is a 3 CD set, single set of Clocks. It's got all kinds of bonus material on here. I'll just let you pause the video and see if you want to read about that. But there's all kinds of stuff on here, and I don't even know where I bought it from. So many different... Here's another one of those DVD singles from Clocks with the video included on it. Again, before the days of the internet, you know, we watched videos the old way. Either bought them or watched them on MTV or whatever the case was. God Put a Smile on Your Face was the last official single from that album. Great, great song here. So much fun to listen to this song still. And again, there's bonus tracks on this as well. And for the sake of time, I'll just let you get what you want to out of that. But again, I love the artwork. I love that album. I love everything about it. I lived in Australia when that album came out. I was able to see that band live. I should have put it in the background here. I have a poster from the gig that I went to. I've got my ticket stub framed in there. I think I've posted it on Facebook before. If anyone's interested in it, just message me and I'll give you a copy of that poster and that ticket stub. I actually attended the gig that this is recorded in, live 2003. This is done in Sydney, Australia. My brother and I went to this concert. Kind of had to drag him a little bit. He wasn't a massive Coldplay fan, but after the show he was. They are amazing live. And this was a small venue in Australia at the Horden, I think it's the Horden Pavilion, which probably still exists. They weren't massive there yet. I mean, they were big and it sold out, but it wasn't like stadium size. It was the best time I've ever seen them. And if you look for a very split second, you can actually see me in this concert, and it's just such a thrill to know I was there, and still a fan to this day, maybe more so than ever. Okay, their third album came out a couple years, I think 2 or 3 years later, 2000 and, I can't read this, 2003 or 4, called X and Y. Another really, really good album. This is really nice. This is an original pressing. I think they're still made this way, really. It's not old enough where it's original versus non-original. But it does have kind of a slipcase cover. Pull it out, and there's two LPs in there, and it's just really, really well done. Again, this is a British Parlophone copy. And I always prefer my British copies when I can get them because they just sound better. So from there, again, a lot of singles, so I got to go a little bit quick here. Here's a CD copy of X and Y. Here is that other interview CD that I was telling you about. They did the same thing with their third LP. They did an interview CD about the making of and the stories behind it, what the songs mean, and go through track by track, and it's really cool. I did put these in order of release. The first single from that album is called Speed of Sound. First CD single from there. This is a really good one too because it's got Things I Don't Understand and Proof, non-album tracks. And I also have a 10-inch of that single. This is on clear vinyl, just crystal clear, so I'm not going to pull it out, but has, again, the same songs, Proof and Things I Don't Understand. So really neat little 10-inch there. I've got a 7-inch of that. It also just has Speed of Sound and Things I Don't Understand on that one. This one's sealed, so I don't know what color this one is, if I'm being honest with you. And then I've got, let's see here, we've got the next single from that album called Fix You. This is kind of their stadium closer anthem type song called Fix You, and it's just a real emotional powerhouse builder type song. And if you've never heard Fix You, I would just absolutely recommend making that part of your listening experience. This is an English copy, again, British copy, and this has got 3 extra tracks on this one, so that's fantastic. From there, they released a single called Talk, which is a really silly video. Not a big fan of that video, but I do love the song Talk. And this is the standard CD single. Nice non-album tracks on that. Here is Talk Live. This has got other songs recorded, 3 other tracks recorded live, including Talk Live, so this is kind of cool. And then I've got that 3-disc set again of Talk. They didn't do this with all of their singles, but some of them they released these special 3D singles of really quite a lot of material here. So just pause the video and see what's all on there. And there's a DVD of Talk, kind of a DVD single with the video attached to it. You can see the DVD audio on there. It's a couple more singles they released from Talk. The Hardest Part. This is another really silly video that was recorded in Miami, and it's kind of like a, they were actually there singing, but they used old footage of 80s workout video kind of stuff. It's really different and silly. Some of their videos are really silly. Coldplay is known to be making some very silly videos. And finally, the last single was What If, another fantastic song from X and Y. And this one is actually made in Holland. I don't think this was a worldwide single. This was only a European single, I think. So, there is my stack of singles from the album X and Y. And whoosh, first 3 albums. Boy, I tell you, I knew I had a lot to go through there, but there's still 3 more albums to go. From there, I forgot a couple things here, sorry. I do have one more thing. I've got a 12-inch of Talk, the remixes. This is more of dance versions and great to work out. This is workout music. I've got recorded also on my iPod, so this is just really cool, upbeat. Each one of these is about 8 minutes, and it's just great, kind of techno, industrial type remixes. Okay, so the next album is maybe their most critically acclaimed album. That is Viva La Vida. I guess the official title of this is Viva La Vida or Death and All of His Friends. Quite a complicated title. Love this album, and Brian Eno had a lot to do with this album in production, and this is probably their best well-written album. And they had the massive single, of course, Viva La Vida. This is probably their biggest hit, at least in America. Even though I like Clocks a little bit better. This is their biggest selling single, I think, of all time, and many good songs came from Viva La Vida. And we'll go through a little bit of that in the singles. Here's a CD copy of Viva La Vida. And let's see, the first single from that is this one here called Violent Hill. Not the best single choice, I think, for the opening single. I thought the album might stall a little bit when they released this as the single, but hey, it didn't. And I've actually got this too. I don't even know where I got this. This is a weird promo copy that has no artwork on the cover of the full album. This is just for promotional use, radio stations, I guess. I don't know where or why I bought it, but I have it. And it's just one of those weird curiosities that I go through some of this stuff and think, whoosh, you are a completist, a diehard fan. When you like someone, you do go all out, and that's definitely me. Here's a CD single of Viva La Vida. This has a couple good non-album tracks on it, so definitely worth having that. Love this single here, Lost. There's Lost with an exclamation point, and then there's just Lost. And I like the acoustic one. I think it's the one that has the exclamation point on it. This is the real mellow one. The other version has Jay-Z on it with a little bit of a rap in it. I'm not as much of a fan of that. But the soft, more acoustic one, as you can see on the back, there's actually 3 different versions of it. And I like the real mellow acoustic stripped down. Basically, it's just guitar only on that. And it's just such a gut-wrenching, beautiful song that it doesn't need any treatment. It doesn't need a lot. It's just beautiful in its own right. And one of the best lyrics that Chris Martin has ever written, in my opinion. We've got Life in Technicolor 2, another CD single from that album. This is really, really a great, underrated song as well. And then finally, one of my favorite kind of unknown Coldplay songs, and I'm so happy I have this on CD single because I love the video. Absolutely love it. And it's just a one track, 3 different versions of the same song, single, but this is Strawberry Swing. And I love this song. I've never opened this because I've got it in other areas, but this is so cool to have, and it's really rare. Strawberry Swing is a song, if you haven't heard the whole album, go check that out. I'll probably put a link to that one too. I want to put a link to, what did I say? You'll remember from before. That other video where he talks backwards and Strawberry Swing. I'll get it all sorted out for you guys and get it right. Okay, after that they had a massive world tour, and I believe that they initially wanted to release that album as a double album. Probably some record company pressure said no, we're not going to do that. But they did get to release Prospects March on a separate release. It's an 8-track EP, but it really is almost like a whole nother album. And I play it often because it is really just an extension. The two are very well connected, and if you like Viva La Vida, you're certainly going to like Prospects March because it's really cut from the same mold. So the two really go hand in hand, so you can't have one without the other. So I've got the CD of that, and I've got the LP of that, so great. From there, they did take a little bit of a wrong turn. I guess I'll show you this first. Mylo Xyloto is not their best album. I think it's by far their weakest album. And I'm just not a big fan of this album, unfortunately. But I say that, but there were still some great songs on this. The single "Every Teardrop Is a Waterfall" is quite good, and it has the wonderful song "Paradise." Paradise is yet another fantastic video, just a wonderful video that accompanies that in Paradise. And there is no CD single that I'm aware of that, but if there was, I'd surely want it, because that is one of their best songs from a really fairly ordinary album that just doesn't do it for me. And I say that, and I'm about to show you something kind of rare and unique, and that is the deluxe edition of Mylo Xyloto. This is a box set. It's got a pop-up book in it. It's got a lot of cool things in it that I frankly have forgotten what's all involved inside of this because I've kept it sealed. And I probably will keep this sealed because it goes for fairly big money, and there's no reason, there's no extra music to listen to on it, but it's just a really neat collectible and something I'm kind of proud to have. That's it as far as singles go from that. Before I get to their latest album, well, I guess I'll show you this too. I forgot that. I've got this comic book edition. This is a picture disc, 2-track, 7-inch picture disc with a comic book. They did a whole series of comics related to Mylo Xyloto, and I've just got this one because I think it's the only one that features music. I'm not a comic book guy, but I've looked through it. It's kind of cool, but I bought it for the picture disc, which is really cool. And it's really not for playing, it is more just for collecting. They were giving away CDs at one of their concerts. Everybody that went there got one. This is a copy of Left, Right, Left, Right, Left. I do think I've seen these pop up online. I think you can buy them. Obviously, everyone who went to the concert got one, so there's probably gobs of them online. It's not rare or expensive, but it's free. It was free. Everyone who went to their concert during that tour got a copy of this, and I thought that was just such a wonderful gesture because it is a full-length live album. I have accumulated some I guess you could say bootleg albums through the years. I've got a bootleg copy of Live in Sydney. I've got a bootleg of this. acoustic sessions. These are all non-official albums, just a lot of B-sides and stuff that you can't find anywhere else. Here's one called 16 Exclusive Covers and Rarities, stuff that they do for radio stations and promos and stops along their tours, and interviews and things of that nature are all on this one. I've got a live at Olympia here. This is a bootleg CD, and that was around the X and Y period. And here's another one live in Cologne around the X and Y period. And just kind of, I'm weird. I want everything I can get when it comes to Coldplay. Okay, finally, last but not least, I want to talk about Ghost Stories. Ghost Stories is their most recent album, and I think it's in many ways their best album. This is, let's see which is which. This is the British, this is American copy. Well, one of them's American, one of them's British. Doesn't really matter. I actually play the British one. Again, I think it sounds better. Here's the one I play, Parlophone. And I love Ghost Stories. I know, for me, it was a bit of a return to form after Mylo Xyloto was very pop-driven, and I think they were trying a little bit too hard when they start doing duets with Rihanna and all that. It's like, no, Coldplay, you don't need to do that. Just stick to what you do best. This is such a good album that if you do nothing else from this video, I would hope that you might check out this album. I know I've just recently talked my friend James Lack into purchasing this album, and I think he really likes it, and he's starting to get into Coldplay now. So that's cool. Thanks, James. And they recently came up with another live. This is from their TV special. They did a TV special. They didn't tour this album, and I can see why, because many people, and James, you mentioned it in your video when you showed your vinyl, that you thought this was maybe better suited as a solo album from Chris Martin, because it is very emotional, and it's involving his relationship ending with Gwyneth Paltrow, and they have kids together, and they were going through divorce, separation, and it must have been very, very difficult. And the songs are very emotional, and it really resonates with me because I love powerful, emotional music like that, and I've always been such a big Coldplay fan, and it goes back to their roots a little bit, and it mixes a little bit of electronics and EDM stuff, and they use some different producers, and it really, really works. So Ghost Stories is certainly worth checking out. Well, I've shown you everything, really. There's just a couple other things I guess I can go through really quick. I've got vinyl singles of Every Teardrop is a Waterfall. This is blue vinyl. Life in Technicolor 2 on a 7-inch. Talk on a 7-inch. I've shown you that one already. Fix You on a 7-inch. And I've got Clocks on a 7-inch. Now these were all original when they first came out. These are all English, British copies. Now, after the fact, somewhere down the line, I guess in 2006 or 2007, they did release this box set of singles, which is still available. I don't think it's super cheap, because it is out of print, but you can still get it. This has all of their singles from, as it says, 1999 to 2006 in this beautiful box set. I'm not going to show them to you all again, but I will show you the first one, because it is that reissue of the Blue Room, and this is probably the only way you can really get this now on vinyl, is this reissue of their first EP, The Blue Room, and I love the cover of that. So anyway, there's, I think, 15 different 7-inch singles in that box, and it's just a nice little thing to have. So, Coldplay. Love them or hate them, I love them, and you know, I'm not going to probably change anybody's mind who doesn't care for Coldplay in this video, but I hope that I've shown my passion for the band, explained a little bit as to why I think they get a bad rap, and I think that they're really talented guys, for people who deserve a lot more credit than they get. I know they're wildly successful and they fill stadiums, but they do seem to get a little bit of hate unnecessarily, and I don't know if it's because of success or people just don't like the fact that Chris Martin is a bit of a romantic and he writes romantic songs. Whatever the case is, I hope I've done maybe just a little bit better justice to their catalog, inspired people to check them out who have dismissed them, or maybe just, if nothing else, you like the video and leave a comment. So thank you so much for watching. Hope everyone has a wonderful weekend. Listen to some great music, and I look forward to seeing you again this week as my vacation moves into full gear. Bye for now. Take care.